Woohoo! And Luigi too. Ho ho! And Wario, have a rotten day. Yahoo! Oh wait, I forgot. Mommy said say something nice. Hey, I said it and I meant it. And well, Luigi, that was your last.
It is such an honor to have you with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's Martinet.
Martinet.
I'm not a Martinet.
So many people are so wrong.
You
can't trust anything.
Charles Martinet. C'est moi. Hi, everybody. First of all, let me say thank you all very much for coming. Many thanks to Nintendo, of course, for the joyous career that I get to have now as ambassador with diplomatic immunity. And of course, thank you to the show for bringing me out here. These guys are great. And mostly thank you to you because your love for the game is what allows me to go around and meet you and have a wonderful, wonderful life. Thank you. It's my profound hope that you all get to see and live and experience the joy of doing what you love to do in life. You know, that you develop a relationship with yourself, I guess is the way to do it, where you love yourself enough to give yourself permission to have whatever you want. Follow your heart, follow your destiny, and find out that in the end you're the hero of your own game, the game that we have as life. And I don't mean game in a trite way, but simply that you are the hero, and you deserve the love, the joy, the happiness, the fun in your work, in your pleasure, in your relationships. You deserve it all. So that's my profound wish for each and every one of you. And the way I try to communicate that is to always be in touch with a hope that always help you be in touch with your inner magical child that just is, it's enough to say, woohoo, to bring the memory back of what that joy can be. So thank you. Thank you for playing my games.
Well, thank you for being the voice of many of our generations, and I can sincerely say that I don't think a lot of us would be where we are without something like that we could latch onto in such a way that we were able to. I mean, I think I speak for a lot of us when I say that was for me definitely what you call like the bridge into a lot of different games. It was the one that really brings most people out. If you haven't heard of any other games, you've heard of Mario.
Yeah,
you know
Mario
Mario.
64 was like a game that really revolutionized video games because it went into 3 dimensions. And I had been doing Mario games before that, but you didn't really hear them. Mario Teaches Typing, Mario Game Gallery, you know, and fundamentals. And it was Mario Teaches Typing that taught me the most because I first crashed an audition to be this Italian plumber from Brooklyn, you know, and I thought, well, you know, that's got to be, hey, how you doing? Get out of my face here, you know? And then I thought, well, don't do that, because if I'm going to improvise and talk with children all day, I don't want to be gruff and mean. I want to have fun. So what just popped into my voice, my brain was, hello, I'm a Mario. Let's make a pizza bite together. And so I just rambled on and on and on like that, because the only direction I had was make up a voice, make up a video game, or anything you want, and don't stop until you run out of things to say. So I thought, well, I'll just do food, except I ran out of the food, so I had to start making it up, you know? If I'm gonna make a restato rotello, and I'm gonna chase with a restato rotello, and if I catch you, you're gonna make a restato rotello, and chase me with a restato rotello. And I just kept going and going and going, non-stop until I heard, stop talking! Cut, there's no more tape, thank you, we'll be in touch. And I thought that was really the end of it, you know, so long, folks. And that was just the beginning of, gosh, now it's been 33 years, I'm on my 34th year of absolute joy and fun. And I'll tell you one thing is a warning, a caveat in life. It goes so fast. It feels to me like it was just 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and it wasn't, it was 34 years ago. So don't waste any time. Love yourself enough to go on, you know, and for those, you know, everybody in life gets the high points and the low points. You know, we really do. It's just what life is. But you can't control what happens to you, but you can work and work gently and self-lovingly to meet your response to it, you know, to change your response. to be optimistic and positive. You know, it's easy as you get old to get cynical because things hurt, things move that shouldn't move, things don't move that used to move, you know. And you know, it's easy to start getting to that place, but boy, remembering the beauty of life is so important, you know. And if you are a person that feels like you don't belong in life, get out, reach out and get help. Get help. Find out it's really hard to do that. But find the courage to reach out to someone who loves you, because more people love you and you are more loved than you will ever possibly know. But you know, luckily you have an eternity to find out, so it's a good journey, I hope, all the way. So there it is. I just lost a family member who didn't reach out. And everything, all the love in the world was there to help him. And he didn't reach out, and we lost him. So I say that with some degree of urgency to the adults and the adolescents that face the hard things in life, that, you know, things do get better. They get better, and they get better, and they get better. And it, you know, it starts with you, but you reach out too, and then it gets even better. And then there's video games. You know, people ask me often, you know, it's like, I want to be a voiceover, what do I do? And I say, play a lot of video games and listen as you play, watch a lot of cartoons, laugh, enjoy, and figure out what it is that's making it make you have so much joy, and then do that, you know? Because it's that simple. There's a reality that, you know, I think in Hollywood they say 99% of actors are unemployed 99% of the time. So if from that paradox, it's a very competitive world, this acting world. But from the other paradox, that the great gift of acting is you get to play and be yourself. So it's like, you know, hey, come on down and, you know, play in our sandbox. We got some toys here called a script, you know, and a drawing for you to look at, you know, to make the script come to life, just like a little crane and a toy in the sandbox. And you go and you do that, and that's what you do. And if that's the end in itself, and this is the same thing in life, when that's the end in itself, then you have a chance to get the job. But if you're trying to do it right, it's like falling in love. When you're desperately wanting to fall in love, and I'll bring flowers, I'll take to dinner. Those are the trappings of success, the trappings of love. The real love is something very different. And it's the same thing with a character. You just become that character because you're having so much fun, and you relish in bringing what you have to the party. You know, for me it's like, you know, I could do like, hey, get out of my, I'm working here, don't bother me. Or I can go, I'm working here, Mamma Mia, come and join me. You know, it's the answer yes, and the answer play. And so that playfulness and joy, which is something we all should be in touch with all the time, is what works. You know, and I have to say, a friend of mine, a client that I worked for many times at the Learning Company, went over to Disney. And he called up my agent and said, you know, Charles does that. Have him audition for Goofy for me, because I know he can do a great Goofy. I know, because they're looking for sort of like a backup Goofy. And I did my Goofy, you know, and I did this script as Goofy. And I thought, wow, I really nailed that. And I sent it in, and I didn't get it. And I saw Ned like a year later. And I said, Ned, remember the audition for Goofy? And he goes, oh yeah, Charles, you were by far the best Goofy. You were just dead hit on the voice. And, oh, you weren't Goofy. And I thought, wait a minute, if I was the best voice, wasn't I the best Goofy? No, because I wasn't being Goofy, I was imitating Goofy. And it's the same thing with love, the same thing with life, the same thing with anything that you want. You gotta be it to enjoy it. You gotta jump in, you know? So that's what I learned out of that experience. Oh. But that's the way life is, you know? This is a gorgeous, wonderful country. I feel so lucky to be an American, but I also live overseas. So it's nice to look at it from the perspective. And I hope that it becomes a happier, more loving and friendly place to each other, because all of us that are Americans deserve to love each other. And, you know, but when I was a kid, I think I was the luckiest generation. Post-World War II, my dad gets out of the military after a horrific time in Southeast Asia. Of course, if you send him to Southeast Asia, he's French. So send him to Southeast Asia. Send him to Burma, where they don't speak French, you know. But there he was, and you know, a horrific time. Came back, and America was like, you know, education was free for everybody, healthcare was affordable, and everybody could disagree about which way we were going, but everybody wanted the same thing, a better life for their children and their families, you know. And we grew up in this privileged time where it was golden year, you know. The White House was Camelot, and everything was magnificent, and I think we're going to go back to that. It just takes a little bit of bumps along the road to get there. But, you know, let us all remember that we're all Americans, and we should all get out and vote for what we want. And hopefully that's for hope and joy and inclusion and, you know, a better life for everybody. I always remember Justice Black and Justice William Douglas. You know, Douglas is this wild liberal, and Black is this very conservative justice. But they were in at the time when the civil rights issues came up. And it's like they both agreed on equality based on the Constitution, but they completely disagreed on how it got there. And the same with eminent domain, the same with everything. And they were best of friends, disagreed vehemently about everything, but always agreed on the end path, which was a better life for all people. So we need more of that in the world, more agreement, more joy, more working together to make this country better. Sorry, I don't mean to get political. But what you might notice is when I auditioned, I didn't stop talking until he said, "Stop talking." You'll notice I do that. I really don't stop. I'm a wind-up toy, and I never stop. I just never stop. And I'm also a golden retriever, because, you know, sometimes it just makes me happy to look at an apple tree and go, it's unbelievable that apples are going to come here in 4 months from now. And now even less time, 4 months and minus 10 seconds, you know. So that's my credo. People want to ask me questions?
That was my next question.
Ah.
I am going to come to y'all, folks.
Oh, really?
Here I
That's
come.
so nice of you. Well, thank you.
All right, making my way around this way. Hi, Fred.
If Super Mario and Sonic the Hedgehog met, what would Super Mario do?
Well, he'd
Throw
race
hands or
him.
shake hands.
Probably shake hands, high five, and then start a race, a competition. Because the two of them compete very vehemently. Yeah, Roger Craig Smith and I have this ongoing sort of feud that we play out whenever we're at a show. I send him notes that his mama makes bad pasta, and he sends me notes that I'm too slow and can't get anywhere. I mean, it's just, he's such a wonderful guy. You know, it's just absolutely marvelous to. That's a great. I like actors. You know, they're really. You know, some actors are very funny because they believe that. You know, and some creativity is funny. If you look at Rodin, if you look at Picasso, you look at these artists from the past. That, you know, it's about suffering. You know, I suffer. You suffer for your art. The Dark Lady of the Sonic, the unachievable goal, which is art. You know. And I always say, I suffered for my art, now it's your turn. You know, because to me it's like, I create from joy, I create from happiness, I create from fun. So a guy like Roger also is creating from happiness and fun. So we'll get along till the cows come home. They do come home, right? They don't, they come back, right? Cows?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Is that right? I'm not a farmer. Here you go. Hi.
Hello.
So do you know how like Peach and Mario, both of them if
Oh yeah. She making my heart go bada-ding, bada-ding,
yeah,
bada-ding.
what if secretly Peach had a crush on Bowser, what would you do?
Well, this is what Odyssey is all about. They just absolutely it slaughtered me. I thought, you know, I saw Mario and that little thing, you know, and I'm doing the animation. I'm doing the thing, I'm like, oh, they're gonna get married. Oh, and then in the end, I find out, no! I couldn't believe, I've never been so hurt in my life.
Heartbreaking for all of us.
It's hard, yeah, it's hard, yeah, it's just terrible. There you are, a leap.
I want to ask, how was it doing the dragon in Skyrim? Or how did you get that role?
Oh, that was great. What brings you to the throat of the world? That was fun. You know, that was actually the one time I used to audition at home with a microphone. I had a Sennheiser 416 and a preamp, and it was the first time that software didn't work. So I used GarageBand on my thing, and I just sent it in because they said, do this, and it was my agent in LA, and it just worked out perfectly. So I sent that audition in. They said, yeah, we want you to come to LA, and I was already on my way to LA to do a Consumer Electronics Show, or E3, I guess it was E3 by then. And so I just went down there and did that. Totally fun. And it was a very interesting game because they invented a language, for Skyrim and Sacred Scrolls. They invented dragon speech. And unlike usual, where you're looking at you have a script and you can write yourself notes. I can write phonetics out because I went to drama school and that's the stuff you learn. So there was no way to do it because it was all on a monitor. So there was no way to make notes. So you can't sort of like, oh, I'll remember when I get here. So you'd be reading, it's like, and then go down to the Grythignamonglafur. And it is, oh, hang on. I think, hold on, I think it's a Grythignamonglafur. Oh, then go down to the Grythignamonglafur. No, hang on a second, we're gonna call the writers. Is it a Grythignamonglafur or a Grythignamonglafur? Oh, it's a Grythignamonglafur, So now you have three things in your mind as you see this script and it goes, and then go down to the oh. So that was the big challenge there, is learning dragon speech. Thank you, that was a great fun question.
Popcorn around this direction, Luigi, right here.
Okay, number one.
Oh, number one. So when you first came up with Luigi's voice in Mario Tennis for the Nintendo 64, how did that voice come about? Was it?
Well, I actually came up with it before then. I was doing a tour of Walmarts, and Walmarts were opening in Arkansas and Montana, all over the place. And we were out in the tent in the parking lot, and these children would walk up. It's a real-time animation system, so I was the little floating head, like in Mario Teaches Typing, and in Mario 64 at the beginning, and I would see people and say, "Hello there, how are you today?" Oh look, you got a nice red hat on, just like Mario. And children would say, "Hey Mario, can I please speak with Luigi?" And we didn't have a Luigi because it was like $1 million worth of software that I was working on. And I said, "Oh, well, hang on a second. I'll see if he's busy, but I think he's in the kitchen making spaghetti meatballs. And besides, he's pretty shy." And I would turn the head this way, and I'd say, "Hey Luigi!" Everything was connected to my face, so I couldn't move my mouth. So I'd say, "Yeah, what do you want?" "Oh, my friend wants you to come out and say hello, or tell him I'm in the kitchen making spaghetti meatballs. Besides, I'm too shy." "Oh, he says he's in the kitchen making spaghetti meatballs. Besides, he's too high. Too shy." Wrong spaghetti meatballs. That was the wrong meatball. Take the mushrooms out of the sauce, Luigi. So, what I noticed was every time I did that, every child's head would go looking over there off the side of the TV set. So I created a whole world inside the TV set. Mama and Papa were over there. "Don't touch that remote control, I'm using that." "Oh, I can't touch the remote control." "Hey, Mama, yeah, what do you want?" So I would just have everybody going like this, like a little ping pong match or a tennis match. It was so cute. But the key was I couldn't move my mouth. So I did the Luigi like this, "Hello, Dad, how are you today?" And then we went into tennis, which was great fun. And then Waluigi, I just went in there and, he's like, I see this guy, and they said, "Can you put a voice to it?" It just seemed natural, And then, Wario was actually based on one of my friends at the company who had a mustache suspiciously like the Wario mustache. "No, you can't do that." Yeah, very fun. Nice question, thank you.
Jump back
Oh,
this
great
way.
questions. Oh, there's a Mario.
So as a Mario, what would you say is the favorite adventure of a Mario himself? And what was your favorite position within the Mario franchise today?
My favorite position? What do you mean by my favorite position?
So like which game, or if you did like a secondary voice, what was your favorite game to act out?
Oh, well, they were all great. I'm in 168 games, it's like, they're all fun. I have a little batch, I'd say Mario Teaches Typing, Mario 64, Sunshine, Galaxy, Mario Kart Double Dash, I would say also 3D World, and Super Mario Bros. Wii. You know, talk about women in gaming. That was written by a woman. So that I'm like, yay! That was great. It was great. Love them all. Love them all.
Excellent. All right, I'm coming down this way.
There you are.
Friends and family over here. You're closest to me. Hello.
Hey, so I am currently studying to try and become a video game composer.
Composer, great.
I want to write music for video games. Do you have any advice or suggestions on how to try and like get a foot into the industry?
I know absolutely nothing about that. I can't compose, I can't write, I just know absolutely nothing about that. I mean, I would suppose just keep composing. If you can find somebody that's making a video game, compose, say, I've got, put a card out there, put something online. I don't even know, join LinkedIn, just keep putting it out there. I make music for video games and put a little demo online so people can go, oh my gosh, that's perfect, something joyful, something sad, something scary and dangerous, something silly and dangerous, something, putting samples out there for people to hear, It's like the age-old thing with a voice actor. You can't get a voice job unless you've already had voice jobs, because you can't get an agent unless you've had voice jobs, but you can't get an agent without, showing a demo reel. So create that demo reel and put it out there. Just keep playing and playing and playing and playing and playing, composing, and I'm sure you have that software to create these amazing sounds. And do movie trailers too, because it's a different sort of like thing. There are video games that have that sort of movie trailer thing, and just do it. And if you know anybody with a studio, you can say, hey, I do this. If you ever hear anybody, or you can send demo reels to studios. It's a little bit risky and expensive, but those are things that I would do. And keep putting it out there, and keep doing it out of your love for it, absolutely.
All right, we
And
got
good
time for a
luck.
few more.
Hi.
I was gonna ask, well, it's kind of like two questions mixed into one. One, what is it like being the Mario ambassador now? And then two, what do you think of Kevin Afghani and how he's been doing Mario now?
Well, doing the ambassador work is really fun. I mean, I just got back from Taiwan. I went to Australia. It's absolutely great fun. I haven't heard Kevin's work, so I can't comment on that. But I'm sure it's wonderful, especially if it's close to my voice.
Here,
Cheers.
background.
So this question is going to be a little bit funny because I have an Indiana Jones cosplayer next to me. But Harrison Ford likes to say that the Indiana Jones theme follows him around everywhere.
Yes.
What, as far as all the Mario things that you've heard, what follows you around the most?
What follows me around the most? Well, I have a stalker that, no, not even. People are lovely. It doesn't follow me around. I mean, everybody that knows me or, sees me in an airport or in an airplane, they're always so nice and so respectful and so absolutely kind. We do photograph or something like that, It's an absolute dream for me. It always blows me away when actors like, I can't stand that I'm known for this one thing, that made me $100 million, oh, poor me, I just, and don't play that fiddle, But Harrison Ford's a wonderful man and wonderful actor. And, I'm sure it's partially in jest. It follows me wherever I go, And it's not a bad thing for me. It's like very, very, what a gift to do what I love to do and to be known for it and recognized for it and so deeply appreciated. That's the other part is, we don't have enough gratitude in our life. And gratitude is an energy that generates. It doesn't just sustain, it generates. When you're grateful, you get more things to be grateful about. That's just the way life works, And people express so much gratitude for me for doing what I love to do, my job, which I love to begin with. And I think, gosh, what about the guy that put the electrical socket in the kitchen and you put a toaster oven in there, and every morning when your kids are children all the way until they become adults and through college and high school, that toaster always worked. It's like you don't ever get a chance to say, hey, thanks for that electric plug. kept my family eating toast for 40 years, you know? But it's like we all should be grateful for that because there's so much that makes our life happen. We are so dependent upon each other and so dependent upon the love and care and concerns of so many people. We just absolutely can't live without it. It's a fascinating thing that humans can live a long time without food and a certain amount of time without water. But a baby literally cannot live without love. And it's so shocking how fully needed love is in our life. So gratitude and reaching out and finding more to love in life all sustains life and generates more to be grateful for. That's not exactly what you asked, I'm thinking.
There's more to music, but you're good. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Beautiful answer still. All right, I've got time for probably 4 more, so I'm gonna pop through this way. All right.
Okay, so one of my favorite things about the original Luigi's Mansion is the fact that Luigi hums the theme song alongside other tracks in the game. But I'm wondering, was there any story behind that idea? Because I think it's a really creative mechanic. And it's
You know, the guys at Next Level Games are just incredible. They're just incredible. We did that though at Bad Animals in Seattle. But then the last Luigi's Mansion I did up in Vancouver at their headquarters, and you know, every single person in that company knows every frame that's going in there. And the guys that create and produce and write the stuff and write the music, they're just like, you know, they said, "Do you sing?" No. "Could you hum?" I said, "Sure." Do you think if we played this for you a few times, you might be able to hum it?" And I said, "Sure," you know. And so I had no idea whether that was true or not, but I never say no. I always just go, yes, you know, of course I can do that. That's how I became a voice actor. And someone said, "Do you do voices?" "Yes, I do," you know. Not knowing what that is, because you know, and it's here, read the script. "Oh, Orchard Supply Hardware, the right item at the right price, right now." There's, you know, there you go. So I got the script and I just started thinking, oh, you know, boom, 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 and putting the emotion into the hum that he's absolutely terrified. And that I was so glad that worked because it was so silly and so fun. But yeah, more I love Luigi. He's very funny.
2, and then back around to the front.
Who's next? Hi.
So I had read that when they were doing Mario 64, they had used a voice clip, the same voice clip, to do Bowser and Boo, and that I had read that it was your voice clip that you recorded. Were you aware that, like at the time, that you were voicing not just Mario?
I think I did do Boo. I don't remember doing Bowser. I don't, you know, yeah, that was 30 years ago. No, how many years ago? 29 years ago. Oh, well, it was just yesterday. You know, I don't have a clue. I do know that it was my intention from the get-go to give them at least 1 million sound files, so that if I died all of a sudden, they could keep making Mario games for 1,000 years and never use the same clip twice. I have these weird fantasies. I think it's anxiety prone or something like that. I am also, by the way, a high anxiety person, and it's hard to believe, but I'm also an extremely shy person. When I was a teenager, when I was 20, I could literally disappear in a room with 3 people in it. But you know, you work on things. The first time I got up to do a monologue, I was shaking like, you know, I mean, literally my leg was going like this. And I heard this voice, "Put your weight on your leg." And I put it over there, and then the other one is going like that. And "Put your weight evenly between the two." And then they're both shaking like this. And I'm convinced that they're hearing, I don't have a clue what I was saying, you know. "My name is Joe, I died in a fire," you know. And people are like, "Yay," at the end, and I'm like, God, I can't believe I lived. And they go, "Well, I have a question. Why is it you're the only person that wasn't nervous?" Whoa. You know, so you just keep doing it. You just go into your fears. Don't go in unsafely. Don't ever go into fear that's unsafe. Like, "I'm going to jump out of a plane because I'm scared of it." No. Do it lovingly. Thank you. Hi.
Okay, so
Hi.
what is, like, for Mario, Luigi, Wario, and Waluigi, what is your ranking for them? Like,
What is mine?
Like, your favorite to, like,
My favorite. Well, you know, Mario is a character. I intentionally made Mario, personality-wise, to be everything that I respect in another human being. You know, loving, honest, truthful, extremely loyal, always trustworthy. You know, all those characters of what I feel a man should be. You know, reliable, holding the space and protecting. You know, rescuing when it's needed. You know, and you know, Luigi is more like who I am. Terrified of everything, you know. I have high anxiety, I get nervous, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got this going on, that going on. What am I gonna do? You know, Mario, you know. So I am much more him, but I also really love that Luigi is always ridiculous and always very silly, because that's also me. My brother was the firstborn, and he's a lot more courageous. He'll just like walk straight through a glass door and, you know, shatter it, you know, because he wants to go outside, and I'm in the back going, we didn't ask permission if we could go outside. We can't go outside. I'm sure we can't go outside, you know. I am more Luigi. I'm also taller than my brother, and I run faster out of necessity. Thank you, that's a great question. Mario time.
What is your favorite non-Mario character that you've done?
You know, that's a lovely question. I love every voice that I ever got to do. It's always, every time, it really is literally come into the sandbox and make something, make up a new crane, you know? Put these Legos together to make a new crane. So for me, it's always fun, you know? I love every one of those voices. And I did a lot of video games and anime way back when it was all over the nation, you know? I can't even remember. This one character, Homunculus, was absolutely like this, with no characteristics whatsoever, no sexuality, and doing that, and then the next one was like, whoa, look at that, what do we have here, you know? And just loving going to the extremes of silliness and fun, you know? And I started, once I got Mario, I started realizing, okay, no more games that have, you know, no more jobs that are obscene or for 17-year-olds or older, because I want it to be absolutely safe. Everything that I do, live the image, because out of respect for the company, it was important to me to always maintain that safety and, you know, the characteristics I put in Mario, I started to demand of myself. And I'm not really good at it yet, but I'm working at it. You know, more kind, more loving, more genuine. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we've got time for one more.
One more question, yay! Papa!
All right, thank you. First of all, this great inspirational speech that you gave, that's awesome. So something on my mind was there ever a line in the studio that maybe made it into a Mario game that just, you really remember that just took forever, like you're really trying to either nail it, you know, or the studio was like, no, take 5, take 6, or just something that, you know, you were trying to make absolutely perfect that maybe made it into a Mario.
That's such a lovely question. Thank you. You know, no. I am the type of actor, you know, you're supposed to do, is like, you know, okay, Charles, you know, say woohoo 3 times. Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. I will do it until they go, stop saying woohoo, you know. I will do, instead of 3, I'll do like 30. And then they'll listen to them, and I'll sit there going, I'll look at this script and go, well, why not wahoo? Why not wee-hee? Why not yippee? So then the next time I'll go, I said, can I do this again? Sure. Yippee, whoppee, wahoo, wah 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 wah. You know, I will keep doing it until I go, I really think we got that. We're gonna move on, you know? And then inevitably I'll go, can I go back to that woohoo? Because I have another idea. Because I love it, you know? And the way I act too, you never have to pull anything out of me. I always go to the ultimate extreme and then start, wind me back in, because I want to explore the outside parameter, I want to explore the inside, I want to explore all of it, and I'll keep talking until they say stop. I just absolutely Because to me, every single time I say something, I'm having fun. And it's like, that's my creative process. And I'm also a cheater, because I improvise for a living. But when I'm in a studio, I sit there, and while they're listening, I'm writing all over the script. All the different vowel sounds, all the different sounds, short, long versions. You know, oh, I got an idea for this, I got this. You know, 90% don't stick. But that, if it's 1% that sticks, you know, then I'm like, yippee, oh, stingly, or something like that, I said. Oh, stingly. And they just like, they all cracked up, and I'm like, was that funny? I don't know, because I'm not, is that funny? And they stuck in the game, you know, and you go, yay! But thank you, that's such a lovely question. Thank you, and thank you everybody. You know, really, it's such a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much. Thanks for your kindness and your love and support, and I'll keep going around and doing this as long as I can, because it's so great to meet you. And thank you. And
Thank
for
you
playing
so
my
much.
game. Thank you.
Thank you for everything that you've given us, especially today, that wonderful, beautiful, inspirational messages for us. Thank you to Charles Martinet.
Thank you so much.